40,000 clay tablets seem to have mysteriously appeared out of nowhere, and when you have one or two that appear in a collection, you can give them the benefit of the doubt. These, nobody knows where they come from. The Greens don't seem to be willing to tell anybody where they come from, and if reports are to be believed, they might have accidentally put the wrong information on the import forms for customs in the US, claiming that they were handmade clay tablets, which technically is correct, and claiming they were worth $300, which might have been correct in 1800. So customs...
So these are 40,000 handmade clay tablets?
Yes.
Made in Iraq?
Probably.
In the 1800s?
1800s BC. I mean, I think most people would quite happily buy 40,000 of them, most museums, for $300. So
where would they have come from in Iraq? How would they have found themselves in the United States?
I want to be very careful about accusing the Greens of doing anything illegal, because there is no...
Who knows, yeah.
Who knows? Those sorts of tablets generally come from illegal excavations, and that's why most reputable dealers and most reputable collectors won't touch them. Sometimes some appear on the market that turn out to have been looted from museums, for example, Baghdad Museum in 2003.
During the Iraq War, just after the Iraq War.
Yeah. And a lot come from illegal excavations, and most people, even since the Iraq War, would be even more worried about touching them because they tend to come from excavations in territory now held by ISIS. So again, these might not come from there, but the fact that the owners were not quite straightforward on the import papers would suggest that they might be hiding something, possibly.
And what are these tablets? Talk to us about them.
They're little clay tablets with writing put on them with a piece of stick, basically, a little wedge-shaped piece of stick.
And how would they be displayed? I mean, are they just going to, whoever's got them, are they just going to be kept in cases, or are they put onto a wall, or how can they be?
Originally they were just archives, they were accounts, and they tend to say things like, so-and-so owes me 3 sheep and I'm going to pay him with a cow. And then later they get a little bit more sophisticated and start telling stories like the Epic of Gilgamesh, which is related to Noah's flood story, and I suspect that's why the Greens, who are Christian fundamentalists, are interested in them. I don't know how they plan to display them in the museum. All I know is that they're building something that they say is inspired by Versailles. Sorry, I can't say that with a straight face.
How very lovely.
Yeah, very kitsch. I don't know what else to say.
So if they are from Iraq, and it is proven, we don't know, but if it is proven that that is where they are from, will they be returned? And if they are returned, I mean, if one thinks about what ISIS has been up to of late, maybe they're better off where they are.
Possibly, but the Taliban were destroying things, and various people removed items from areas in their control and then later returned them, and they're perfectly safe and fine. And it seems slightly colonial to say, let's take everything from people we don't think can take care of them. It particularly worries me when it's people are doing it, like the Greens, to promote quite an extreme Christian agenda that seems to involve...
And what about people who would say, you Brits, you make me sick? What about those Elgin marbles?
It's a different era. The Romans looted things from the ancient Greeks. Napoleon took things from Italy. There's a big difference between something that happened over 200 years ago and something that's happening at the moment and taking advantage of people in a war zone, and basically taking advantage of the fact that a country is falling apart. And
is this something that would be dealt with at governmental level?
Yes, but the Department of State in the US can't interfere in... It's very difficult to apply foreign laws in the US, so the way they get around it is by getting people who import material on customs violations where they don't fill in the forms correctly. So it's almost impossible to prove that somebody looted an archaeological site in the middle of the night. It can be done sometimes because a lot of looters are idiots and take photos, but it's quite hard. But you can prove that somebody lied on an import form. And it's a bit like going after Al Capone and getting him for tax evasion rather than mass murder.
OK, given that probably someone hasn't taken photographs of looting this and put them on Facebook, how do you see this developing, this story?
Whenever I've come across material...
Because you've been researching this for some time, haven't you?
Whenever I come across material that seems to suggest items are being illegally imported into the US, I just provide the information to customs, and they do what they do. They're a federal agency tasked with investigating it, and it sounds as if a few other people have also been providing ICE with information, and they're taking action. OK. Just before you go, we're so lucky to have you. Just wanted to ask you about what's happening in Palmyra with Islamic State. How are you feeling about that? Not happy. I'm a bit more worried about the people dying.
Of course.
But, I mean, the news yesterday was that they crucified 3 people against ancient columns and killed them.
They attached them to the columns and blew them up, which was just despicable behaviour.
And I know the focus seems to be on the columns being blown up, but we mustn't forget that the people are there as well. And I understand that there is a UN initiative to send people in to care for the archaeological sites, but I still find it difficult to see how they're going to do that and ignore the civilian population suffering.
Dorothy, it's always great to talk to you. Thank you so much for coming in. Appreciate it. Thank you.